Welcome to Living the Next Chapter. It's an author podcast, unlike all the other author podcasts out there, because it's hosted by me, Dave, and I'm not an author. So if you want to meet authors and hear the stories behind what they've done and their books and all the great things, come and get a taste of a podcast done differently. It's Living in the Next Chapter. Thanks for being here. Thanks for pressing play. Everyone, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. I have yet another author on the podcast, and there's a musical connection to this author, which I love as a musician. So that's going to be exciting to talk about. And we're going to kind of go through and talk about, again, the musical connection and what she's written. There's so much good stuff in here. I'm excited to have my guest on. Julia, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. So glad to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. This is a wonderful place to be.
Great. First of all, let's start with this. Your yard is all done nice because you've done all that work before getting on the call with me today. But where are you in this big world of ours?
So I am in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. That's out in the western part of the United States.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful place. I've seen a lot of television shows and things filmed out there, and it's so gorgeous out there. It's great.
Yeah, we're surrounded by mountains. I'm closer to our west side of mountains than actually the Big Wasatch. So we are close to all of it. 15, 20 minutes from either side of me.
Wow.
I can get to mountains. Yeah.
Oh, now I'm super jealous. Super
Yeah,
jealous.
it's
We have
beautiful
everywhere.
everywhere.
One big hill here called Niagara Falls.
That's right.
That's really popular. People like
Yes.
water and hills, but mountains are something special. So that's great.
Yeah, we have nothing compared to the Niagara Falls. We have a few little pretend falls out here. It's nothing. It's nothing what you guys have.
There you
No.
go. I love it. Now, okay, there's a unique combination with what you've written and music. Before we get into your book, why is music so important to you, and why is it so important to what you've written?
So music is how our life strummed and drummed. As we get into the story of this book and how it coincides with the life of our son, it also is how it stopped for me as the story goes. So when music came back to me, it's how these chapters are being written in my soul and in our family. So that's how music has always been. But when it paused, it also became an altering moment for me. So music now is such a stable part of me again, that's what became so much a part of how I wrote this book.
So there was a moment in time when music wasn't helpful for you.
Correct. There was about 3 years, in fact, where I couldn't listen to music and it stopped. I didn't hear it on the radio. I didn't have it on in our home. And that was so different from what it had been before. So that's a part of how this story became. It's how this book became. And it sure caught me off guard when that happened, because music was so a part of our lives and my life for all time before that.
Okay, so let's jump in. This is for people that are hitting play on this going, oh, I don't know what this is about. Now we're like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. I'm going to put my phone away. I want to listen to this. Tell us kind of where's this story orient from? How did this all come to play? Like, why is this book in the world?
Yeah, so this book came by pure happenstance for me. It was not something I had dreamed of all of my life to become a writer. And the story begins many years before this, actually, in my first act. So I am actually in my third act right now. My first act is when I was sure that life was going to go a certain way. I had everything planned. I was going to go travel the world. And then I met somebody, this really incredible human that I then got married to. And then in our second act, we had this really incredible person come. We had this child who came into our world, and brought joy and music more prominently into our world. And he was this powerful force of nature, and he loved music. He couldn't help but bop his head to it when he was a tiny little guy, and it just flowed with him. And then when he was almost 2 years old, he started having major seizures, and it turned into something that landed him in the hospital alongside of us for 9 days. And it turned into this, what the doctors called a catastrophic illness, because it took all of his 2 years of development in a matter of moments. So the doctors were looking for answers, did a series of tests. After many, many days, he had lost all of those skills. He couldn't sit up or walk or talk or even swallow very well, and they were not sure if he was going to survive. This was a beginning of a new world for us, because before he was this bouncing, joyful little human of almost 2 years, and the music stayed with him during this catastrophic illness. It's what kept him flowing. It's what kept us going, even though we didn't know if he was going to survive. And the most intriguing part of all of this time is his tenacity and his persistence to keep going, we think is a part of how he did survive the illness. We did go home from that hospital and continue to learn again with him leading us. So his life changed after that, and so did ours. And the music stayed with us for the next many decades for him. He became this powerful force of just joy and abundance of, are you coming? Let's go play, alongside a sheer amount of doctors and therapy and massive amount of, we have no idea what's going on, but we're sure going for it alongside of him. Music still kept him bouncing up the stairs as he was learning to walk again and communicate again. Although he didn't get spoken language back, he did communicate in a variety of ways, including sign language and using communication systems, and also sending a dagger across the way with a look if you didn't get it right, which when he's a teenager, we didn't get things right. And he would be like, you guys are blowing it, because he was a teenager, and teenagers and parents, sometimes you blow it, which, okay, we did. That's how it goes when you're a teenager. But music still kept him bopping along, and he couldn't help it if you turned on the music, and he would just come into it with this rhythm, and I'm going to dance with you. And he did. So the music stayed with him during all of his recovery, to a point with continued illness and disability. That was how we learned how to become this family again. We followed him. So the book came many years later, after we had realized that he wasn't going to survive those illnesses. And he let us know that he didn't care if the illnesses were going to get super intense. He still came out of it like, let's do this. I'm here. Are you going to stay with me while I'm here? And by the way, if you can't stick with me, then I'm going to go. I'm just going to keep going. And he did for an additional 20 years after his original illness. So he was almost 22. And that's when he did have another series of illnesses and disability. But we're the ones who had to say, we're going to go with him. He never got caught up in, woe is me, or oh no, what are we going to do? It was always us who had to say, okay, he's just going to live this really grand life. And it was always with music, even alongside the doctor's appointments and all of the things. He would put in the loudest music and eat the horrible food that he just loved, like really stinky chips. Okay, that's the chips that are cheese flavored and
Mhm.
a little bit of garlic, or I can't even describe how horrible the food was, but he loved it. And so we bought it because that's what you do for somebody who's in their mid-20s.
Mhm.
So his illness and disability never got in his way, even as he was going through end of life, because he chose to keep bopping into the next phase, even at end of life, because that includes life. And if we paused with it, then he's the one who said, I'm going. Are you staying with me?
Mm.
Let's go. And his medical team is the one who had to keep on top of, let's do this and follow his lead. And that doesn't mean we liked it. It means we were going to keep dancing
Mm.
to the loudest music possible and let the windows shake. And people looked at us strangely at red lights, and that's okay. That's all right. So that's the beginning of it. The beginning and the middle are where we learn how to get into a rhythm. And rhythms aren't always calm and full of unicorns. They're not always rainbows.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're gnarly and beautiful still. That was how it was written before I even knew that I was writing a story.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like what I love when you talk about the fact that, your son was faced with medical challenges and people telling him, no, you can't do this and no, you can't do that. And you got to take care of yourself and all these things. And he's just like, that's fine. I'm going to go do my thing.
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter what you say, but I'm going to live my life. And this is my life. And like, again, are you going to keep up with me or not? Like, come on, let's go.
yeah,
I just I see that you see you guys kind of like one step behind him all the time as he wants to go and explore and do his things. You're just trying to keep up with him as instead of leading him, he's leading you in that sense, right?
for sure. We, even in his communication, learned communication to stay maybe a half a step in front of him,
Mm.
to give him the language, to give him any idea on how to let us know what he needed or what he thought about or what he needed to tell us a joke about, or to step away and say, I don't think so. That is not going to happen. It wasn't always to agree. That's not what we do with communication. We can disagree with other people, and we did our very best, and it didn't feel like we always succeeded with those things. And I think that's being a human at times, that you don't feel like you're doing your very best, and that's what this book is about. Is, hi, that was a bugger.
Mm.
Now here we go.
So when he's young, like in the backseat of the car, grooving to the music, I'm sure there's one style of music he was liking at that young of age. But as he gets into his 20s, his musical changes, I'm sure. His taste changes. Did you see any change in the tone of the music? Like if he was having an like not a good day compared to maybe a happier time? Did the music change at all for him?
It did along the way, and there were times when I would try and introduce a new style of music, and he would just shake his head and say,
No,
"Oh,
no.
that is not going to happen." specifically, and I don't even include this in the book because it would have been 1,000 pages, but specifically there was this brain science that Mozart or the classics was going to help with learning styles. And so I tried it, and he allowed it for a little while and would just shake his head. And then one day he went up and turned off the music, took, back in the day, CDs, right? Took the CD out of the player, put it back into its case, and stuck it in the back of the array of CDs. And I just cracked up. He looked at me and said, no, no. And I said, thank you for letting me know. Right. It was one of those, that was an awesome try, Mom. It's not going to. So he preferred, Tears for Fears. He preferred Bon Jovi. He preferred the stuff that you could really have the windows. Then he also liked Shania Twain sometimes. He also liked Neil Diamond. It was this really eclectic group of music. So, okay, that's what we did. He had to try it. It was, let's try it. Can you dance to it? Can it be hilarious? How loud can I get it to go? And go from there. But yeah, we did try a bunch.
For you personally, has music been important to you yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it has been throughout my life. I'm also one, this is probably where he got it, that turns up the music until the windows shake.
Nice.
And I do it now, and my neighbors probably shake their head like, you are an old, decrepit person. Why are you still doing that? And I do it going down the road. I've told my husband I need a better radio because I'm probably going to pop the speakers one day. And he shakes his head like, listen. And I'm like, I am listening. The music is loud. So it's been a rhythm for all of us. We clean the house to music going in the house. We worked to music. It's how all of us go through life.
So you have a unique, go back to the intro when we started the podcast, there's a unique connection between what you've written and music that finds its way into your book. Can you talk a little bit about this? Because when we first met and had this conversation as a musician, I was so pleased to hear what you did in your book and how creative this is. Because I don't hear people talk about this as authors, and I think more people should because it's such a fabulous idea. What is the connection between the music, the sounds, and what you've written? What did you do?
So I did mention that our son did pass away due to his illnesses and his disability. He had a complex life of ongoing needs. And when he did pass away, because music was so important, I couldn't listen to it. And then about 3 years after he passed away, the music came back. And I began to hear those songs that were so important to our life together. And it was those songs and those experiences together that came back to me. And I started writing the songs down on the back of receipts or on my hand when I was at a stoplight. And then the experiences would just start pulsing into my head, and I started to write them down. Thousands of words would come to me, and I thought, man, I got to get this out of me. It's just got to go somewhere. And so I did. Those memories, those experiences, those life intensities came back to me, thousands and thousands of words at a time, and they were very specific. And as that happened, I was given an opportunity to present at a conference about very specific moments for people with disabilities and their the professionals that meet with them, and family members. And I shared 3 of those songs and 3 of those experiences. And people said, oh no, this is much too hard. This is how we think. And I said, yeah, experiences are very timely for us, and often they are connected to a moment, a phrase, or a song for us. And I walked away from that conference and thought, I have to keep going. But I didn't tell anybody besides those very dear colleagues and friends. And then I kept writing, and these songs turned into 22 chapters, very specifically. And that's it. And that's all there were. And I thought, okay, good, I'm done. I had no intention of sharing them out from there. And then I shared them with an editor that I had met, and he just grinned and said, you are in such trouble. And I said, no, I'm done. I'm done with it. And he said, you're not. You know that somebody else is going to need to hear this.
Yep.
And I said, but I can't. This is our son. And our son's name is Dallin. And I said, but this is Dallin's experiences. These are him. And he said, yeah, they are. And then he just grinned at me, and I went, oh, no, this is horrible. And that was how it started to become more. And the title was there. And the title of the book is The Boy Who Became More Than We Could Imagine. And part of that is because our son became more than most every professional or doctor had ever thought possible. From the beginning of the hospital stay, when they didn't know if he was going to survive, and then he surpassed all thoughts, from ever being able to sit up again or walk again and then run, to doing so much more, including tell a joke or walk away going, you guys are just so weird. And all of the things from there. And that's how these stories became attached to the titles of the songs that led me into each experience so specifically, with such amazement, that I would get done with an experience and go, I have no idea where that came from. But I would take my hands off the keyboard and go, it's done. That's it. Of course, there's editing and all of the mysteries that go with that. And yet 22 of them have come into play without much addition or subtraction.
Nice.
And that became the book. Yeah.
So you're a professional author. You write books all the time. This was just another book on your list of many, right? You're an expert. You're a pro. You could teach writing authorship, right? That's you, isn't it?
That
No?
would be hilarious. Yeah. That was, the trick is now there's 2 more books in me somewhere. And I'm like, oh, that is unimaginable, because once this one got done, 2 more are percolating in my mind, and I just sit back and go, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. And yet apparently there's more words to say.
So does your book at all address that 3-year gap when music wasn't what music was for you? Does it cover that, or is that a different thing? Is that a book too?
So I do say that in the beginning of the book, but these chapters are Dallin's experiences. They're our son's spaces from the time that he became or started with that illness when he was 2 years old. That's the start of this book. And it starts with REM. That's the first chapter, is it's the end of the world as we know it. And it was okay, because he did come through. He did survive the illness. And sometimes the end is also a beginning. As terrifying as it was, he did start to lead us as he had for his first 2 years as well. He was a hilarious 2-year-old when he went into the hospital, and he came out tenacious and resilient and let's go. Here we are. Grab
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
Get the helmet. I'm going again. He needed support with walking at the time because he needed to relearn how to walk from that illness. And so he did. And it was beautiful and trepidatious. And we had no idea what we were doing, which turned out to be probably okay. We were not able to surf the web or look up on Google or do any of that stuff. We began when he was 2 and kept going from there.
Because as a parent listening to this who has lost their child, who is in that period of 3-year period you talked about for yourself,
Yeah.
where music hurts, memories hurt, and they feel alone, to hear you share your story helps them. So maybe somewhere in your future, you can maybe unpack that a little bit more to help parents when the music hurt. Something along
Yeah.
those lines, because that's a part of your story, I think, that could really help some parents as well.
And I think as I have sat with it now, it's been 11 years since our son passed away. And those first moments, that new grief, that newness of, I didn't know what to do when we came home from the hospital. And that was a newness as well of, we came into the hospital with one child, didn't know if he was going to survive, and came home with another child, and that was new. And then when he passed away, it was new as well. And that's that new grief, that shockingness of, I have no idea what to do. I've
Yeah.
lost everything, including the music, including his essence. I didn't have that near me. I didn't know what to do, and nobody knew what to do alongside of us at that point. They were kind as possible. And the story, that's the next story. That's the next space of, what do we do next? Because of when you lose all of that, our Dallin was no longer in our space, and yet he was everywhere. His essence was still permeating, and I wanted the music there. I wanted it. So I sought for it, and I just needed to be gentle with myself, and I waited. We don't know how to do that for one another. And so, yes, this first book is all about his story. In fact, somebody said that to me, wait, where's your story? Where are you in this? And I said, well, I'm everywhere in it. I'm the one who's driving, and I'm doing this, and we're doing this. And they said, but you're not in it. And I said, that's a good observation. So yeah, well said. Well said.
So I'm looking forward to whatever the next books are. I want to
Yeah.
revel in this book, because obviously, but I'm really following you with a lot of curiosity and anticipation of what is next for you. And please, I would love for you, when you find that next path, to come back and celebrate the future works that you do. Because again, this is living the next chapter, right? So coming
Yeah.
back and celebrating, and so we can stay in step with you as your journey unfolds as an author, please consider coming back here and talking more about that, okay?
I love that thought. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll put a pin in that for sure. Out of all of the chapters, the 22 chapters, is there a specific song right now in your mind that makes you really smile, that you're just like, oh, I can't wait for you to get to chapter whatever that is, because there's a really amazing story there that every time you think of it, just lights you up and takes you to that one happy place? a certain chapter stand out for you from the book?
So I often get that question because this is an intense experience. This is an intense story. And I love chapter 8.
Okay.
So chapter 8 is about water. And water for Dallin was where he felt his calm. It's
Hmm.
where he became just joyful. When he was a teeny tiny boy and you got that little kiddie pool and you put an inch into it.
Right. Yeah.
And it was just like nirvana. It was, oh my gosh, the best thing ever. And then when he got a little bigger and the sprinkler came out and the hose went everywhere and mud, all the mud. And then it was wonderful. I loved the mud. And it was also a little bit older when we found people who had boats. And then he found the joy of speed and how fast can I go on somebody's boat. And we found people who owned boats and went so fast and then rode on the bouncies on the back and found one that didn't tip over. And people did try and tip over the untippable
Yeah.
floaties on the back. So that's the chapter that is all joy. It's called Happy Happiness. And it's actually a Sesame Street song. And my gosh, Dallin loved Sesame Street. And it's one of those chapters that cracks me up every time because I can see him from this little teeny tiny 1-inch water loving
Mhm.
toddler all the way to the tall 20-year-old. In fact, the photo on the front of the book, I'm going to pop it up
Yeah,
really
there you
quick.
go. Nice.
That's him waiting for a boat ride. So he was holding up a tree. The tree's holding him up, actually. That was the last time he went on a boat. And he was just chilling. So the boat was supposed to be there and had his lunch and he was just kind of holding up the universe at that point.
Hmm.
So that's the chapter. It's chapter 8. It's about water. But every chapter for me, just I can be just leaking, just having tears stream down my face and also grinning.
Hmm.
That's the joy for me. But my gosh, we still love water. I still can sit by a pool with an inch in it or a lake that's massive
Mhm.
and just be like, this is grand. This is grand.
As parents, we get the lovely opportunity for this human to come into our life, and we feel like it's our job to teach our kids how to
Mm,
ride a bike, how to talk, how to do this, how to walk, how to eat. We teach them all these great things. But on the flip side, we become the student. They
mhm.
teach us more about ourselves as parents, as human beings. They leave us with lessons that make us better people as parents.
Yeah.
What lessons did you learn from him that made you a better person?
I think the one that he gave me was most importantly how to be present. And he did that with such exactness that he would take my hands into his head, like take them like this,
Mhm.
or in the back of my head. And sometimes they were full of just goop or scrambled eggs or those horrible stinky chips. And I'd be like, like I would be on my way out the door to go to work. And then I would be full of
Mhm.
whatever was on his hands. And he would just pull me close and sit and just, we would go forehead to forehead. In fact, it turned out later as we paid attention, he learned that from Mr. Rogers, Daniel
Mhm.
Stripe a Tiger, that mugga mugga going forehead to forehead. And Dallin had this pause when he would do that and take your head either in both hands or pull from the back of your head and he would touch you forehead to forehead. And it was this exactness of looking straight into your eyes
Mm.
and then he would hold you there. And when he was losing strength at the end of his life, and he was still so powerful, and I was like, how are you still this strong? His hands were massive. He was 6 feet 4 inches.
Wow.
And so when the title again is The Boy Who Became More Than We Could Imagine, and he's still this so strong, 6'4", incredibly tall, and yet losing strength. And he would pull me in, look me straight in the eyeballs, and you had to release and just let go and be present in this moment. That's what he taught. And if you had the ability to let go and be there, then he would like nod and go, okay, you are here.
Mm.
And there's one of the chapters when I talk about, am I getting this? Am I paying attention? Do I have the energy to be here and to do this? And sometimes it was terrifying to be with somebody that is at end of life. And it took a long time for him to go through this. And there are many things that we say we were given, and time is one of those. If we have this energy to do this, because it's really powerful, then we can say, okay, did I do everything great? Oh my gosh, no. I don't think we can do that exquisitely. And yet, when Dallin would do his, I gotcha, pull in, then it was, I'm here right now. It would keep us present because the other side of that was thinking about all of the what ifs. And this is coming. And we are going to experience massive grief, which you can't even anticipate.
No.
There's no way to really know that. And how grateful I am that he gave us that. Be here. Be here. Because we had no idea. And we thought we did. We thought we knew what was coming. That's such a misunderstanding to think that we knew what was coming with grief, or what would it would feel like to have him not around us. We still sit back and go, what is this? Why is he not walking down the hall? This is nuts. We're so baffled by it still. That's what he gave us, was being present. And we still try and practice it today. Are we here? Are we here? Be right now. Whatever's coming will. Can we do right now?
I feel like I'm in the room with you and Dallin as he's holding your face and your forehead to forehead together. I feel like I'm just kind of like over on the couch watching this happen, going, oh, it's actually happening. It's happening right now. Like, I feel like I'm there. What a beautiful picture. Like, did he do that for everyone, or was that special for you guys?
He didn't do it for everyone. There were others that he would not have the energy for. We had to make sure we brought good space. And if we had things happening like at our job, or we had come from the store and it was super busy, we had to bring excellent, kind, graceful energy into our home, because he was also very intuitive and would reflect back to us in an instant if things were intense. He would receive that and bounce it back like silly putty. Remember silly putty?
Yeah.
And you could put the funnies. And so he would reflect it back to us. So if people came in and they had intense energy, he did not allow that. And so it wasn't everyone who got that pay attention there were others who he would gently allow to leave the house quickly or leave the classroom, or he wouldn't go into some spaces or doctor's offices. He would just watch from a doorway and say, no, not going in there. And we respected that every time. Other people needed to learn to respect that over a series of, he's not going to go into that room. But not everyone got the forehead to forehead. Some people got different ways of feeling his deep energy. Some people got massive bear hugs. And again, he's 6'4", so towering, massive bear hugs. And he had a way, but that forehead to forehead perhaps was his direct channeling into me, like, Mom, you gotta catch up. Come on, I have a little bit of time. What is taking you so long? Come listen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great kid. Like, oh, I wish I could have met him. But what I love, though, is that we have the chance to meet him and celebrate the great things he's brought to your
Yeah.
family, to the world through this book. Do you think he would be proud of this book?
I think he would find it intriguing and maybe be curious about the perspective. I think there are some things that he'd be like, all right, sure. He was a powerful human, and he was also very kind and lived a lot of gnarly moments. And perhaps his kindness would have been like, okay, that works out.
I
Sure.
love it.
Okay.
Can you just like block off the rest of your week so we can just keep recording? Because I love talking to you about this.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have things to do. Julia, as far as I have one more question I want to end off with our conversation. Again, please, the door's open as your journey continues as an author and the next book comes out and whatever. I want you to come back, please, because I think our community is going to love to hear updates and follow your journey as you write. So please keep that in mind. I have one more question for you at the end, but before we do that, where we can connect with you, where we can get the book, where you're most active online, because I know there's going to be people wanting to reach out to you. I have friends who have podcasts who listen to this show and then steal all my guests, which I love. So they're going to want to reach out to you to carry on the conversation. Where do we connect with you? And then I want to ask my last question at the end.
So one of the best ways to find me is on my website. That's juliapearce.net. And that's PEARCE.net. You can find my book there or on Amazon. It is available there. And I think I'm also on Instagram, Facebook. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm on LinkedIn.
Excellent. So you have no excuse for not being able to connect with Julia. Julia, if we could go to Spotify, and what I like is that you have all these songs referenced for the chapters. So my suggestion is to listen to the song for the chapter before you read the chapter, so you're in the right headspace to understand why that song relates to that specific chapter. So that's my suggestion to everyone listening. But if we could go today to Spotify or Apple or YouTube, wherever we get our music, and press play on one song that you would suggest that your son would tell us we need to listen to today, one song that we could all go listen to at the end of this podcast, what would be that one song that you would say is either one of his favorite songs or a song that really captures the spirit of your son? Is there any song names or titles that come to mind that we could then send people to listen to?
So the one that probably is most important because it's how he led his life is Get Down on It by Kool and the Gang.
I love that song. Okay, explain.
So Dallin did not have expressive language, and yet he led his life. He was a self-determined, he had autonomy, which means he had control. And getting down on it, that song, to see, I'm singing it in my head now.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm
Yeah.
bopping. I'm going to start bopping. And that is how he determined how he was going to communicate. He had up to 7 different communication systems that he placed in the house, and he used differently for different people. If somebody didn't know sign language, then he would go get a communication device. And if they didn't have the tolerance for that device, then he would gesture. And if they didn't understand his gestures, then he would find a way to get his needs and his wants and his hilarity met. So that essence of that song, that just get to it, just get on it and keep your rhythm in place. So Kool and the Gang also, they are also just so powerfully connected to one another. So it's also a chapter in the book
Good.
because it always makes me smile. It does this, and I get more wrinkles every time because I'm cracking up. That is the power of getting down and making sure people have the systems that they need. And Dallin demanded that of people. He did not tolerate people not understanding him, or he would leave. He's like, I'm done.
Mm.
You can be here, or I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
So Get Down on It by Kool and the Gang cracks me up every time. It also brings me joy because Dallin he did find a way to communicate every day of his life. He did.
And he's still doing it today.
He apparently is. He has a lot of presence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does.
Thank you for writing this book. Thank you for being obedient to people saying, hey, you got to write this. No. Yes, yes, you do. You got to share this because we've had the chance to meet and my life's better because of your son's story. And I think all of us that are listening have a new connection, somebody that we can learn from. Your son's message continues. That's the legacy of what you've done. You've shared that message, and now we all get the chance to have a little inside scoop and little inside glimpse into the wonderful life you've had with your son. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you for having me. What a great conversation.
I love it. Everyone, your homework right now is to go listen to Get Down on It from Kool and the Gang. You have to do that right now. We will have link to the song in the show notes, so you can click it. Everyone has to listen to that song. Okay. Julie is going to go listen to it right now. I'm going to go listen to it right now. Going to go dance around the room. I'm a terrible dancer. So I'm not going to let you see that part. But everyone has to go listen to that song right now. Everyone needs to go buy the book. We'll leave a great review on this book so everybody knows about this book. And Julia's going to come back in the future to update us on what's next as she lives her next chapter. Julia, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. It was wonderful.
Awesome. Thanks for listening to Living the Next Chapter, the author podcast. Unlike all the other author podcasts, you can also hear us on Apple and Spotify and Audible and iHeartRadio and on and on and on. Take us with you anywhere you want to go. You can follow us here. You can also take us with you wherever you're heading next. We'd love to be a part of your day. LivingTheNextChapter.com has all the information. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. Thank you for pressing play, and catch you next time for Living the Next Chapter.